following that, I thought it'd be really appropriate if we invited our head cheerleader up to lead us in a cheer. So let's have Doug McCormick come on. Let's hear for Doug. Doug. I only made one request of Doug. Let us in the cheer. He doesn't hurt himself.
I think what was going on was embarrassing. I didn't know how yellow this was, or how many holes it had in it, but at least it's just. So, you know, and that was me. I didn't know that the drum corps was going to be here. I was going to take you all on an imaginary trip back to when sitting in the Rose Bowl, hearing the drums come out, and watching the flag girls and everybody. And I think, remember the card tricks that we used to do? So, I mean, we got to play the Rose Bowl. So, Corey asked me to lead in a cheer, and Mike Flint's favorite cheer was Stomp Clap. So, I don't know how many of you remember the Stomp Clap, but it's real simple. It's stomp, clap, stomp, clap, clap, stomp, clap, M. And then the same thing, U-I-R. Okay, so you ready? Can you actually stomp? Here we go. Okay. All right. Ready? Stomp. Stomp. M. That's right. U.
I don't remember this.
Close enough. At our 50-year reunion, we leave out one letter. It conserves our energy. So we're doing good. On behalf, by the way, do you still do that cheer?
No.
It was good back in 1965, trust me. Other schools cowered at that particular cheer. On behalf of the reunion committee, again, I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to our 50-year reunion. And it's been a wonderful time just seeing everyone and fellowshipping together. And thank you very much for just for your presence. We have a few things that we're going to be doing this evening in the program. We tried to limit the program so that most of the time is devoted to fellowship. But it seemed appropriate to do a few things here in programmatic fashion. So I'm going to call up Tim Lickness, and he's going to share a few thoughts about Greg, who was our leader, one of our leaders.
Thank you, Corey. You've seen some of the pictures that we're running up here. There's a display over here for Greg. Greg was really quite an accomplished guy. Didn't know this. He was a Marine fighter pilot. Didn't deploy, and that was quite common. After the Vietnam War, we had to keep some of our troops in reserve for other battles, and Greg was one of those people. But what I wanted to talk about was not all of his accomplishments. Beverly Dressel and I had the real honor and privilege of attending the memorial service for Greg. And so I just want to tell you a little bit about what happened there, because it really spoke to Greg, because at the memorial service, his friends that knew him more recently than us got up and spoke. And there was a very common theme that was presented by all those people who spoke, and that was this: Greg liked to have a good time. And more than that, he liked the people who were with him to have a good time. He had a boat, he had an RV, and he would go around and constantly, his friends would tell his story, when he invited you to go on his boat or go on a trip on his RV, he was going around asking people, are you having a good time? What can I do for you? He was always looking out for others, just like he has for us, his classmates, in planning these reunions. And so it was really quite impressive to see his friends stand up in front of the rest of his friends and his wife, and just to tell what a great guy Greg was. And that's just, he continued to be a cheerleader all his life among his friends. He just wanted people to have a good time, just like he did. Now, I'll tell you this story for those who didn't hear it. I'm one of the last people to actually have seen Greg. Because what I didn't know is the box on the table up in front, I thought was a memorial to his Marine service, and I opened it up. It was great.
Yikes.
But Greg would have liked that. He would have got And true to fashion, after the memorial service, a bunch of his friends went out to dinner and they invited Beverly and I to go with them. And Pam, his wife, went with us. And then Pam invited us over to her home. And we went over to her home while, and Beverly looked through the files for the reunion to make sure we had what we had. In the meantime, I got to look at his mementos around his house and what he did. And he had just bought a train set. And he was going to put up a train set in his, actually it was an all-weather train set, he was going to put it up outside. That's the kind of guy he was. We had a good time. It was good to be back there representing the class. It was good to see Pam. There is a book. It's probably still on the front welcome table out here. It's a tribute to Greg, and it's for Pam. So if you haven't had a chance to sign it and just say thanks Pam for sharing Greg with us, please take your time and find that book, and we'll send it off to his wife. And actually, those of you who have ever been to Orlando and you told Greg you were going, he made sure that you were taken care of when you went there. Greg and I hardly knew each other in high school, but when I went to Orlando with my wife Artie, and I told Greg we're going to be in Orlando, he made sure that we had everything we needed to have a good time in Orlando. And I know Carolyn Nelson did the same thing. He made sure that she had a good time when she was there. Just the kind of guy he was. He was always taking care of others. So the next part of the program, we're going to do, this is not only the 50th anniversary of our graduation, it is also considered by presidential proclamation to be the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War. And so we're going to do, tonight's about celebrating, tonight's about reunion with each other, but we're going to do a tribute to the Vietnam veterans who are here. And before we get there, I just want to say, I know there are many in our classmates who had really strong, deeply held beliefs that the war was wrong, and we shouldn't have been there. And they held on to those beliefs, and we respect that. Those of us who did serve, we respect those beliefs. And so this is not about trying to justify the war, it's just about remembering those who served in the war and a tribute to those who served in the war. So to do that, Dee Martin kind of organizes all these things, and her husband,
Hey, Dee.
Ed Tingstrom, is going to do the actual tribute. So Ed was not part of our class, was not in our class, but Ed is a Vietnam veteran. The tribute tonight is for our classmates, but Ed was also a Vietnam veteran. He was an Army Special Forces Sergeant, so he was what you call today, we call Special Operations. He was Special Forces, and so Sergeant Tingstrom, I will turn this over to you. Thank you.
I've been superseded by the boss.
I'm Deirdre, or Dee Dee, as people called me back then, Martin. This kind of came about because of Ed and his work in the VFW. Okay, is that going to work?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Because it is the 50-year anniversary of the war in Vietnam, and knowing that we had many of our classmates who were drafted or enlisted, I thought it was appropriate to also honor those members of our class who served during that time. What I found out was this was a much more heartwarming, exciting project than I ever anticipated it would be, because of the connections that we made, but more so than that, the ones who responded to me had such incredible gratitude for this to take place. This is an example of the gratitude. Ron, where are you? Ron Rodriguez, who was one of our veterans, and we'll hear more a little bit later on, presented me with this evening in gratitude for putting this together, which was really something straight from my heart. And just say I got laid tonight, but
Got it.
This resulted also in this book. Some of you may have seen this. Each one of the veterans who responded has a page in the book about what he or she did during that period of time, because we do have one female veteran. And we're gonna acknowledge them in a little bit. There is a place in the back for messages. So if you haven't had a chance to kind of look through it and write a message to our veterans, please do so before you leave tonight. My plan is to scan it and send the book out to every veteran who participated in this project, some of which are here tonight. After that, I've spoken with the people in the John Muir High School Museum, and this will go into the museum as a piece of our class that will be there forever. So thank you, everybody. And to get this really started, I have a letter here from the Office of the Mayor of Pasadena. And it says, John Muir High School Reunion. As Mayor of the City of Pasadena, I extend a warm welcome to all the participants of the John Muir High School 50th Class Reunion. I hope your stay in Pasadena will be a joyful experience as you reacquaint yourselves with your class members. I hope you will also get a chance to tour Pasadena and reacquaint yourselves with the unparalleled beauty and tradition that is our city, with an extraordinary array of culture, world-class museums, theaters, and excellent restaurants. Special thanks and recognition is given tonight to those from your class that served in the United States military during the Vietnam era. Our country is forever indebted to its veterans for their courage, valor, and sacrifice. You have my best wishes for a successful class reunion. Sincerely, Terry Tornick, Mayor of Pasadena. Tim gave a good introduction of my husband, Ed. My husband, Ed, and he did not go to Muir, but he is my husband, but he's your Mustang-in-law.
Live up to all of that. Welcome, graduates of John Muir High School, class of 1965. 1965 was a hallmark year, but the only cards we guys got were draft cards. In 1965 also marked the beginning of the United States military buildup and combat involvement in Vietnam. Yes, 50 years ago, many of us marched off to participate in the war. Most of us came back, but 58,288 did not. In accordance with the presidential decree that this is part of the 50th anniversary commemoration of that war, we want to recognize all who served in our military between 1965 and 1975 with a special tribute to those who served in Vietnam. But first, let us recognize those who served during the time of the conflict, but were not deployed to Vietnam. As I call off your group, please stand and remain standing until all the groups have been recognized. First, I'd like those John Muir High School graduates who served in either the reserves or the National Guard, but was not deployed to Vietnam, to stand. Those 1965 graduates who served in the active military but were not deployed to Vietnam to stand.
He got this out.
And lastly, if there are any non-John Muir High School graduates who also served during that time but were not deployed to Vietnam, such as spouses, please stand. little something for you that my wife is going to pass out, but I'd like to have everybody give an applause for these people who served their country in time of war and in time of peace. At this time, we'll have a special tribute to John Muir High School graduates who served in Vietnam. Now we're going to ask. Take two. As many of you well know and experienced, this land, our country, was divided during this war. And when we came and returned home from Vietnam, we were not well received. In fact, we were scorned, ridiculed, and disrespected. This never happened to John Wayne in the movies. Go figure. So now it is fitting that we pay proper tribute to the John Muir High School graduates who served our country in that war with long overdue appreciation for their service. And what I'm going to ask you to do is please hold your applause until the end. And there will be a special minute or two for photos after all of the recipients have been recognized. We would like all those John Muir High School graduates who served in Vietnam between 1965 and 1975 to please stand and then come forward when I call your names. Please stand.
I know who you are.
And I sincerely hope I do not murder, mutilate, mangle any of your names. Gerhard Beck, United States Army Signal Corps. Come on up, as we have a special gift for all of you. I'd like to have Ed Dunnett. Did I say that right? Next, Tim Lickens. McDonald. Dr. Steve Italian. John Now.
We know who you are.
Ron Rodriguez. Tim Rogers. Harry Sharp. John Brown. Are there any other non-year graduates who served in Vietnam that I have neglected to call? Are there any Vietnam veterans who I have not called? Closing at this time heals all wounds, but the memories and ghosts still linger for us who served. May this nation always respect and support our men and women of the armed forces who put their lives in harm's way to protect our nation's freedoms and our liberties that we enjoy today. Thank you for participating in this portion of the program. One more time, let's have a grateful thank you for your service for our Vietnam veterans. And now for a very special tribute to John Muir's High School only. I've been corrected again.
One more recognition. Some of us were not able to travel with Bob Hope to entertain the troops, but many of us sent letters with perfume in them, cookies, care packages of various descriptions, anything that kept our military personnel connected to home, cards. So anybody here who during that era had a loved one, someone out there that you sent cards to, I just want you to wave your hand, because what we can see is that everybody was affected during that period of time. So, thank you all for giving me this opportunity to recognize some people who have been very important in all of our lives. And I want to give a special recognition and thank you to the John Muir Drumline. Let me mention that they have a really stellar history. And if you go online to johnmuirdrumsection.weebly.com, you can learn about their history, which goes back to before we were in school, relative to some of the cadences that they play. They need to be really commended because they played cadences that we were familiar with. They have enough of a library that they could go and see what year they're talking about, and we could hear some familiar cadences. So as we bid them adieu, as they say, we'll listen to them go out, and thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
to the John Muir High School graduates, 1965 for the only Vietnam casualty that we had. At this time, I'd like to invite Tim Lickness to come back up here and do the ceremony.
Thanks, Sergeant. It's remarkable, really, that we only lost one of our classmates, but it was tragic also for those of us who remember Doug Yuki. In researching prepare for tonight for Doug's tribute, I read some things written by some of you on various pages that you can find from our fallen soldiers, and people would remember Doug for his smile, remember Doug for his energy, remember Doug for his brains. What I found out about what happened to Doug, first of all, he had a very high draft number, and he volunteered to be in the Army. And he volunteered, he was about 21 years old when he volunteered. He was killed 6 weeks after he got to Vietnam. And I don't know the details of how that happened, but obviously anytime you kill, it was a tragic event. But what I also found out about Doug is not only he volunteered for the Army, he volunteered for Vietnam because he didn't have to go. He also volunteered, and I heard there was one other, to be in the Signal Corps. And his actual job in the Signal Corps was that what we call RTO, or radio teletype. I think it's teletype operator. Well, we don't do the teletype part anymore, just radio operator. And for those of you who were in the service, especially for those of you who were deployed in Vietnam, you will recall that radio operators have a very high casualty rate. And so to volunteer, to enlist, to volunteer for Vietnam when he wouldn't have been drafted, and to volunteer to be a radioman in Vietnam was really quite remarkable for anybody. And for a guy like Doug, who was just known for being a fun guy and a smiling guy, to be over there and to do that job was really quite remarkable. So tonight we're going to be doing a special tribute to our only classmate that was killed in Vietnam, Doug Yuki. So I'd ask you all to stand while we hear taps. Those of you who are civilians, you may put your hands over your heart. If you are former military, you know you can do the hand salute if you desire to do a hand salute.
Helps if you turn it on.
Thank you. Corey, I think
Please be seated. I'm going to ask Beverly Dresser, who actually headed up everything and did an incredible amount of work. She's going to come forward and give us a reunion update.
Showing my age. Well, I want to thank all of you for coming. All of you helped make this a wonderful event. This has been so much fun. Not every moment, but Only pulled a little bit of hair out. But I didn't do this alone, you know that. I just volunteered. Greg, you may not know, but Greg actually was grooming me to do this, but not this year. It's supposed to be in 5 years. So it was just pushed me a little further, but he knew that he wouldn't make it for the next 5 years with his heart. So it's a good thing that he had the foresight to do that. And so we were working side by side. We had constant emails. He kept me in touch with everything that he was doing so that I could be up to date and carry on. It was just a little too early, but we managed. There were a few hiccups. We got through them, and look at this. We have a record crowd. We had a record crowd last night. But as I said, I didn't do this alone. No way could I do that. This many volunteers it took from you guys. So I want to thank all of my volunteers. In the program that you have in front of you, there were some that really helped with the major projects, and they did a remarkable job. They stepped up and really performed. So I'm very grateful to them. But all of the other volunteers, you're just as important. Everything had to be done, and you guys got it done. So I'm so proud of you, and I hope that you'll do it again. Really. I'm serious about that. To plan this reunion, Greg and I started the day after our 45th reunion. We met in Las Vegas. We went to one of those wonderful buffets, sat down with our notebooks, and we started planning this reunion. That's how long it takes. He spent a lot of time asking a lot of you to help find classmates, because our class was 700 people. And there's only maybe, 140, 150 here. We can only find about 200 of our classmates. So the big push this year was to find all of you. And with Facebook and LinkedIn, that's helped. But we need you people to keep in contact with us, so we don't have to track you down. So we do have a website. Some of you may not know that. It's www.johnmuir1965.com. So go to that. If you move, if you get a new phone number, a new email address, just put it in there under contacts. I'll get it, and then we'll keep you up to date. So, and if you find other classmates, you know some that have that are deceased, keep us up to date so that we don't have to try and do all of the work. Because you guys usually find out before we do. So keep us up to date so we can get more classmates here next time. Which brings me to our next point. We're thinking about having it in 2 years. Whoa. Not this fancy, which means we should have started 3 years ago. No, now we got this down, right? We know how to do this now. But a little less fancy, less expensive, more casual. Maybe I'll allow flip-flops. We'll decide that. Because the whole purpose of this, the whole purpose of what Greg wanted was to keep us together so that we could visit, keep in touch with one another. That was his sole purpose. And we want to continue that. So I think in 2 years it will be good. You know, we've already lost 2 of our classmates this year, and it's not going to slow down. So let's just do it more often, a little less work, and but have as much fun. So of course you're going to get more emails from me to volunteer. those of you who are on Facebook, I don't know if you're aware, but we have a Facebook page. It's actually on my Facebook page under groups over on the left. And I'd like for all of you to sign up on that. That's a great way for us to keep in contact. Okay. Now, photos, all of you who are taking photos, I'm hoping that you'll send them to me digitally so that I can put them on the website.
Remember that guy?
And also don't forget the photo booth. And you can scan your photos and then you can send them to me if you have access to a scanner. I think that's about, oh, I do have a few more things. Breakfast tomorrow at the Restaurant Soleil at the Sheraton is at 9 o'clock, 9 to about 10:30. There's little flyers. Oh, I happen to have one in my hand. Up on the front desk, so help yourself, take one of those. And after tonight, after we leave here, after they kick us out, you're welcome to come to Charlie's Lounge at the Sheraton, and we can finish chit-chatting at that point. Those of you who can stay up beyond 9 o'clock. And also when you leave, these nice little badges, if you would leave them up on the front table, and then we'll recycle them we've got to be a little green, so we'll recycle those for the next reunion. And also those of you who have sent memorabilia to us that's displayed up here, please take that home with you tonight, so I don't have to do that. I have one last thing. This is unfinished business from 1965, and I think it's time that we take care of it. There's an IOU, and I'm going to read it to you, and I think that we all need to make sure that this person does good on this IOU. It's been 50 years. It's time, don't you think? So I'm going to read this to you. I, Tim Lickness, will buy Carolyn Nelson one 1967 Jeep, 8-speed, high-low range, with 4-wheel drive, if Carolyn is not married on or by March 12th, 1967. Signed this day, this is the lawyer, and we should have known he was going to be a lawyer. Signed this day, September 12th, 1965, Timotheus R. Lickness.
That's my twin. That's my brother.
You can't deny it. So we want you to make good to Carolyn.
We are so grateful that everybody took the reins of our reunion.
We do thank you. This is a card for you, signed by most everybody. If you didn't get a chance to sign it, we'll just keep it around and maybe we'll come to sign it. It's a card for you. We also have just a little thank you gift, and I think there may be others.
Yes.
Other flowers. Here they come. So we got some. Just thank you, Beverly. Thank you, Beverly, for all your help.
One more item of business, that I think it's a report that we should hear. I'm going to call Mary Molitor up.